Hey students, so today we are going to start off by talking about past, present, and future and how to talk about it. So the first thing that we're going to do today is we're going to review the worksheet. The worksheet is what I sent to you last week to do on your own, and there were a few of you that did it, so thank you for doing it. And I'm going to go over the answers. So this is what it looked like if you weren't able to do it, but it was about past, present, and future tense, right? So the first question was, what is your name? And for that one, you just write down what your name is. So my name is Allison. So you could just put Allison or whatever your first name is. You don't need to put your last name, but if you do put your last name, that's great. So the first question right here, it says, I am to the store. And it has all of the verbs and they're in different tenses. There's goes, which is a simple present, and then you have present continuous going, and then past. So it says, I am, the answer is going. I am going to the store. That's what the answer is going to be, because it says I am. Since it has the am here, we can't say I am go to the store, so we say I am going to the store. The next one, my friend ride home with me. So this one is, the answer is will. My friend will ride home with me. So that's the answer. It's not going to be is. My friend is ride home with me, because this sentence is in future tense. And it's not going to be was, because if we used was, it would make it past tense. So my friend will ride home with me, because we have the subject, and then we have the present, the simple present verb. And so that's why we use will. We not live there anymore. So this one's a negative because it's not. The answer is we do not live there anymore, because if we said does, we use does if the subject, the person that we're talking about, is he, she, or it. Since it's we, plural, we use do. And since it already says not, that's why we don't use doesn't, because then you would say we does not live there anymore, and that's not right. My mom doesn't live there anymore. So for this one, you need to make sure that you would be using does or doesn't because of who you're talking about. My mom. So my mom is she, so that's why you have to say does or doesn't instead of do or don't. Now for this one, the proper one would be does not. My mom does not live there anymore. If you said my mom does live there anymore, it doesn't really work because of the word anymore, but all of you got that answer right. All of these questions, I think everybody got the answers correct on, so good job. The next one is, you know how to get to the cafeteria. So it's a question. So we need to learn how to use, so we need to use do. Because we said you, so we use the word do, not does or doesn't. So you would ask, do you know how to get to the cafeteria? The next one, I'm with my sister. So since it only has one space, we're going to say I live with my sister. If we said I living with my sister, that doesn't work because that's present continuous, right? Or present progressive. We would have to say I am living with my sister. But since it's just one word, we can say I live with my sister, and that is simple present tense, which means that we do it a lot, right? The next question is, I'll to the mall. So this one, remember, I'll is the contraction for I will. So we're talking about the future. So I will, remember when we use the future tense I will, or just the word will, we need to use the simple present tense of the verb. I will drive to the mall. The next one is his brother is live with us. So his brother is going to live with us. Since it uses the word is, we know that we need to use a present tense of a verb. So going is present continuous, right? My brother is going to live with us. But you'll remember that even though this is a present continuous verb, when you say somebody is, and then you say going to live with us, it's talking about something that you're planning in the future. So even though this is present tense, is present, and going to is present, since they're talking about something that they are going to or he is going to, it means that they're talking about what's going to happen in the future, something that they're planning right now in the present, but will happen in the future. So these next ones, you needed to change the sentences to past tense, meaning you need to make them before right now. I walk to school. Now the answer for this one is I walked to school. This one was kind of tricky because I put walked how it sounds, walked, but this is not how you spell walked. It's W-A-L-K-E-D, walked. And we wouldn't use walking because that one is present continuous, right? This is present tense and this is also present, right? But this one is simple present, which means that you do it a lot. It means that I walk to school a lot, all the time. And if you said, I walking to school, you would actually say, I am walking to school, and that would mean that you were doing it right now. It's something that you're doing right now in the moment instead of something that you do a lot. So I walked to school is the past tense because of the ed. We are going on vacation. Now this one was hard because you had to remember what the past tense of go is, or what the past tense of are is. So the answers that you could have done, you could have picked one or another one and they would have been correct, but we were going on vacation is correct, and we went on vacation. Both of these are past tense because this sentence uses were instead of are. We were going on vacation, or you could say we went on vacation. So instead of saying we are going on vacation, you could say we went, and went is the past tense of go. So that's why it is this. These two things are both past tense. So that's why they are both correct. But you could have just said this one is correct or this one is correct, and that would have been okay. Both of these are correct. They're a good way to talk about the past, to change this sentence to the past. My supervisor drives to work. So the answer to this one would be my supervisor, to make it past, my supervisor drove to work. So you wouldn't say droves, my supervisor droves to work, or my supervisor driving to work, because this one's present continuous and we don't need to put the S at the end of droves. It's just drove. We just need the simple present verb and we don't need to change it for the past tense. My supervisor drove to work. So for this part, you needed to read the story and answer the questions. So this story is called Last Week, and it says, "My name is Sarah. I live in Salt Lake City. I worked at a store, but now I work at a hospital. Last week was a very long week. I woke up tired every morning. I went to bed late because my son was sick. I called the doctor on Thursday. They told me I needed to keep him at home. I also did not get my paycheck, so I talked with my supervisor. She had me go to Human Resources. I talked to the secretary, and they gave me my paycheck. I hope next week is better." So the first question is, why did Sarah go to bed late? And the answer was, her son was sick. It says right here, I went to bed late because, that's saying why, because my son was sick. So that's what the answer was. Her son was sick. Where did Sarah go to get her paycheck? So we know that she did not get her paycheck and she had to talk to her supervisor. And the supervisor said, go to Human Resources, right? And they talked with the secretary and they gave them the paycheck. So Sarah had to go to Human Resources to get her paycheck. Even though she talked to her supervisor isn't the one that gave her her paycheck. So she had to go to Human Resources. And this last question was just asking you what you wanted to learn about. And all of the answers I got back were to talk more about the past, present, and future, and also to talk about how to understand when people are talking to you in a conversation and how to understand if they're using past or present or future. So that's what we're going to be doing again. So even though we just did a bunch of lessons on past, present, and future, we're going to do them again, but I'm going to talk about them in a different way, and we're going to do some more practicing just so we can understand it better. So the first lesson today, we're just going to talk about why we use tense, future tense, present tense, and past tense. So this is how to talk about time. So in English, we use verbs to talk about time. Remember that verbs are just words in English that are action verbs. They're action words. They're words that mean that something is happening. And that's what a verb is. So we change the verbs or the action to let people know something happened in the past, the present, or the future. So I have some examples that you'll probably know right here. So we have I walked to school, I am walking to school, and I will go to school, or I will walk to school. Now this first one is past. We know that it's past because of the ed. This next one is present because it says I am, and it uses ing, so present continuous, right? And future, I will go to school. Will is the future part. So you'll see that all of these sentences are the same except for how we talk about the verb, how the verb looks and how the verb sounds, how the action is changed to talk about the past, the present, or the future. So you'll see that to talk about the past, we added the ed. When we were talking about the present continuous, or what was happening right now in the moment, we used the word am instead of was or were or will, and we used ing at the end of the verb. When we were talking about the future, we used the word will, and we just used the simple present of a verb. Talking about the future is hard sometimes because you use the present tense of a verb, but it's these little words before the verb that tell you if somebody is talking about the future, something that they're planning on doing, something that will happen in the future. So that's how you know that it's the future. Is it talking about right now in the moment? Is it talking about before right now, like this morning or last year? Or is it talking about something that's going to happen later, after right now, when I go home, in 2 years from now? Am I going to go to school? Am I going to be a nurse? That's the future. So there are 3 times you can talk about in English. You can talk about the past, you can talk about the present, and you can talk about the future. When we're talking about the past, we're talking about before right now. Now, when somebody says in English, right now, it means what's happening right now. What's happening in the moment. What are we doing right now? So, for example, right now I am teaching a lesson. Right now I am talking. Right now I am teaching English. That's what I'm doing right now. And right now you are listening. You are learning. That's what you're doing right now. So when we talk about the past and we say before, it means anything that happened before this, meaning so right now I'm teaching, but before this I was at the store, meaning this morning I went to the store, right now I'm teaching. So that's what past is. Past is before right now. So present, right now, in the moment, means what's happening right now. I am teaching right now. I am talking, and you are listening. That's what right now means. Present can also talk about something like if somebody said, oh, things are different today than they were in the past, meaning things in the year, 2020 are different from how they were in, say, 1990 or 1980 in the past. Those are the past, and the present is right now. Future is after right now. So anything that is going to happen after whatever you're doing right now. So, for example, after I teach my lesson, I'm going to eat dinner. After I go to bed tonight, I'm going to wake up in the morning. That's the future, right? So, just showing you some more. So, for example, the present is right now, and right now I'm teaching. But past, earlier today, this morning, I went to the store. So that's the past, right? I went to the store. So that's how we talk about it in English is, you don't say, I go to store, I teach, I go to bed, because those are all different times. Those are all happening at a different time. So that's why you say, I am teaching. This morning, I went to the store. And tonight, I will go to bed, right? Or I am going to sleep, or I am going to go to bed. And that's how you talk about the future. So this morning was the past, tonight is the future, and right now is what's happening right now. So the past, again, just to talk about this more, just because it's sometimes hard to understand, the past is anything that happens before right now. So the past, when you're talking about the past, it could mean you're talking about when dinosaurs were walking around on the earth. You could be talking about in the past, like history, meaning like back in ancient Egypt, or you could be talking about, wars that happened in the past. You could be talking about something that happened a minute ago. You could talk about something that just happened, meaning you could talk about something, say you were walking down the hall and you were going to fill up your water bottle and you dropped your water bottle. It fell. You could say, I dropped my water bottle, because that already happened. It's something that has already ended. It's already something that you did. So you wouldn't say, I am dropping my water bottle, because that would mean that it was falling, that it was the exact moment that it was falling. But if you dropped it, meaning past tense, dropped, ed, then it means that it already happened. It's the past. It's something that's finished. So that's what it means when you're talking about the past. So you can talk about anything from really far back. You could talk about when you were a kid. You could talk about what happened yesterday. Or you can talk about what happened 1 minute ago or 30 minutes ago, before right now. That's how the past is. It's anything before right now. The present is right now in the moment. So right now, I'm teaching you. Also, you could say the present, June 15th, 2020, today, is the present. That's what the present is. And yesterday, the past, was June 14th. And the future, tomorrow, will be June 16th. That's another way to think about the present, is sometimes when people say in the present, they mean, this year, or they mean the last 10 years. So it's talking about things that are important to right now. Now, the future is what happens after right now. So, for example, tomorrow is June 16th, 2020, right? Instead of June 15th, 2020. So tomorrow, what happens after today, right now, is tomorrow, after June 16th, 2020. Or the future is any time in the future. You could say that March in 2030, the year 2030, is the future. That's something that's going to happen after right now. You could talk about the future in 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, I will go to the bathroom. Or in 10 minutes, I will leave. In 5 minutes, I will leave. So even though the future can be really far in the future, meaning really ahead, or it could be something that's happening really soon, it's still the future. And so that's our lesson for today. Tomorrow, we're going to go back over present tense, and we're going to talk about all the different ways that you can use present tense and how you make them and how you understand it when people are talking to you. So that's it for today. Let me know if you have any questions.